I'm Lucas, I'm 25. I've been growing vegetables in my parents' front yard for the past 12 years, and today I'm gonna give you a tour of the vegetable garden, some tips and tricks so that you don't make the same mistakes that I've made over the years. Let's get going. You can see in this raised bed here, I've got 4 beefsteak tomato plants. The front ones are called Big Beef, and then the back two, one is called Big Daddy and the other is Bodacious. And you can't really see because a lot of them are behind this netting that I have in place to block out the squirrels. One of my best kept secrets for growing tomatoes comes down to fertilizing. You always want to keep your nitrogen on the lower side, because if you don't, you're going to get big, bushy, lush plants at the expense of fruiting, right? Now let's take a look at this raised bed right here. We have some more beefsteak tomatoes, looking decent. I do have some cracking happening this year. That's only because I haven't been watering very consistently with a drip irrigation system like I usually do. I actually don't know what varieties these are because I didn't label them, but they're one of the 3 that I mentioned earlier. Over here, I do have some cherry tomatoes, and I picked a lot of these already. That's why the plants look so barren. But you can see they look pretty nice. If you want to check it out, I posted my very first harvest video for the year about a week ago. So go check that out if you're interested. If you know me, you know that I love to grow super hot peppers. This right here is a Carolina Reaper plant. It's grown from seeds that I saved quite a while ago. So these are multi-generational plants. You can see it's very bushy, doing pretty well, and we're really loading up on fruit here. So let me get you a closer look. So one of my secrets for getting really amazing super hot pepper plants is to start early indoors. And you can see just how productive this Carolina Reaper is right here. And again, these seeds were started indoors about 3 months before my last frost. And that really gives these plants more time to grow, more time to take off, because hot peppers, especially the super hot peppers, do take a long time to grow. They're not as quick to grow as, say, squash or tomatoes. So you do have to give them a lot of time in the ground. You can see we have some really nice specimens of Carolina Reapers this year, so I'm gonna have to save some seeds. Here's another hot pepper I'm growing that's doing pretty well. I believe this is supposed to be a Leviathan chocolate scorpion, but clearly that's not what the variety is, because these pods, as you can see, are turning nice and magma red. But yeah, we do have a lot of production going on under this bush here. Beautiful peppers. I'm so excited to harvest these plants, hopefully in September or October, once I get a lot more pods ripening up. Another tip I have for growing super hot peppers is to keep your nitrogen lower, keep your phosphorus and potassium higher, and you can do this by taking a look at your fertilizer package and looking for NPK ratios that have the first number as lower and the second and third number as higher. So this could be something like a 5-10-10 or a 10-20-20. Even something like I use, which is a 15-30-15. The key is you just want to ensure that your nitrogen is not the highest. If it's the highest, you're going to get tons of leaf growth, but at the expense of all this beautiful fruiting that you've been seeing on these plants. For the first time this season, I've experimented with growing squash vertically. So you can see these plants are not vertical right here, but if you look back, I do have some growing up, some tomato cages in the back, and I have 2 varieties. One is butternut squash and the other is Jacoby Little. So let me show you some of the production that I'm getting here. So here is a very nice example of a Jacoby Little pumpkin. Beautiful shape. I have another one growing up here. See if I can zoom out for you. This is what they look like when they're just starting to develop. Very cute little pumpkins. Again, they don't get very big because of the variety. I do have one more here that looks pretty nice as well. So yeah, it'll be really interesting to see once these ripen up. And yeah, these plants, they're not super productive from what I've noticed so far. But as you can see, I do have a handful of them on there, so we'll see what happens. You can see the squash and mini pumpkins are just taking over. There's a mini pumpkin right there, 2 actually. And I have a butternut squash here that unfortunately got eaten by some sort of animal when it was first developing. So you can see it's not the prettiest thing in the world, but hopefully, you know, we'll still harvest it and eat it. And then following around here, I do have another butternut squash that's actually hanging up, which is really cool because it's using the cages here. So if I can zoom in there, you can see it's just kind of hanging on there and gripping onto the trellis. It's kind of camouflaged with the coloring there, but really beautiful. You can see, if I zoom out, you can see some of my mini pumpkins up there as well. And it's just really cool. This mini pumpkin is taking over the bush here, looking really, really nifty with the leaves. So I have spotted a bit of powdery mildew. I'll probably be spraying it down with some baking soda and soapy water solution just to fight it off, to prevent it from spreading too rapidly. But that's something that's on my ever-growing to-do list. Here at the front of this raised bed, I have a bunch of sweet pepper plants. These are bell peppers. It's an heirloom variety that I've never grown before, and it does have some productivity going on, if I can show you here. But to be honest, I'm not super impressed with this variety, just in terms of the size that I'm seeing, the size of the fruits. They're kind of small, and yeah, definitely not the best peppers that I've ever grown in my life, but pretty cool nonetheless. Again, lots of tomatoes. Tomatoes are kind of the flavor of the season, as well as the super hot peppers, which I'll be harvesting again within the next 1 to 2 months. So when I first started gardening, I was 12 years old. I was walking through the supermarket with my mom, and I had no previous gardening experience. Nobody told me to do it. Nobody taught me how to do it. I just, for some reason, I saw a rack of seeds and I thought, hey, this would be cool to try to grow some beefsteak tomatoes. So I grabbed a pack, I learned to germinate them, and the rest is history. So I've been doing this stuff for the last 12 years, growing in my front yard. Actually started out in the backyard, and there just wasn't enough sunlight. So that's another tip I have for you, that if you are new to gardening, you definitely want to make sure that you're picking a site that gets full sun. Sunlight makes a massive difference with vegetables in terms of productivity and just general plant health. So that's something you definitely want to look out for. But yeah, I've been doing this for a while, been passionate about it. Unfortunately, housing market's pretty expensive, so I don't have my own space to grow in yet, but that's a work in progress. We'll get there eventually. So I feel like I'm rambling, but I just really wanted to make a video for you and give you some tips and a look at my garden, how things are doing here at the end of August 2025. Walking down my street barefoot like a weirdo, but that's okay because I am. So if you're starting to grow your own vegetables and you want to learn more, there's so many videos I have on my channel that I think will really help you out. I do have tomato growing series, I have harvest series, pepper growing playlist as well. And if you're interested, you can also grab my ebook through the link down below. I wrote this, took me several months to do, and honestly haven't been getting many sales. But I guess most people don't want to read gardening books, so that's okay. But I want to thank you for coming along for this video. I really do appreciate the support of my viewers like you. And let's try to get to 100,000 subscribers. That'd be awesome. Okay, see ya. I'm gonna head back to my house. Bye.